So the modal, let's take a look at the documentation. Scroll down to modal. We have an IO modal and a controller. So here is how we can create a basic modal and passing data to it. We're not going to be passing any data on this modal because it's just an authentication and there will be any data. And here is the usage. Let's go to JavaScript. We first need to add the modal controller so we have access to the open and close and show or create and present on this case. So this we add to our template. We're gonna add it to the menu component so we can get access from the sidebar. You can choose to add anywhere you like, but I think there is a good place to put a login button. So we add the controller, now we have access to it. Let's go back to the documentation. And I'm just gonna copy this function over here. And here we have an async function. Here's initialize the controller. It will wait for this render method to finish to render out the components. So here's initializing the controller. We will grab the reference of the IO modal controller down here, and you wait for it to be ready. So after that, we can just use the element, the controller, and create. So let's add this present modal. Let's create another button over here. So login, and here we're gonna call this function. Let's call it open Auth Modal. So this dot open modal. It's gonna start my server. There we go. So now I have a login instead of the logout. If I click, I have a modal here. So you don't see because we are on the mobile, but if I open it up on the main page, we have a drop shadow and we can click in it to close the modal. So the modal is now showing nothing there because if you go back to the function, as you can see, we are putting a modal page in here, component, but we don't have any. So let's change it to page auth. Now if you open it again, we have our auth page over here. Let's just remove this top bar in here because it's not necessary anymore. So here we can just console out this nav bar. There we go. Just need to remove it there as well. Now login, and there you go, modal. We can add a logo or name in here. Here, H1 register. There we go. We can add some padding to this on the CSS. So here on the H1, let's add padding, no, margin button. Let's do a 50 pixel. There we go, a little bit distance. So you could also add a login here to make it nice, but I leave this up to you. Okay, now we still have the, when you click in here, this menu should disappear because we don't want that anymore. So we need to wrap it in a toggle. You remember when we did the menu, we wrap the buttons in a menu toggle that is gonna just toggle off the menu. So here we can just wrap these buttons as well the same way. There we go. So now if you go back in there and we open it, the modal goes away. Same will happen for the logout in there. We should also remove the auth route here. It's console log, you can use it later if you like. If you prefer the page styling, So one more thing, now we did the toggle for the menu, but now if you click on the login, we open this one and the modal is still open, so that's not nice either. Let's add a dismiss to the modal when someone clicks on the login with Google or in the send link. So we can do that by removing this function over here, and we need to create one, this dot Google login, and we need to create it. We already have the send link, so async Google login, and here that's what you want to do. We're gonna wait for it to open the pop-up to log in with Google, and then we're gonna return a function that is gonna dismiss the modal. Let's call it dismiss modal. Just like that. And we can also do the same over here. When you click on the link, it's gonna send the email, console log, and then dismiss the modal. So let's create this function. So it's also gonna be an async because we need to wait for the component to be ready. Modal. Now here, let's go back to our app menu. And as you can see here, we initialize the modal. We're gonna do the same. I'm just gonna copy from here. And we did add the modal controller to the page on the Ion menu. But because the Auth page is gonna be open in front of it, it's gonna be like a children component. And this Ion modal is gonna be available to us. So let me show you what I mean. Here we have the modal, the sidebar, and we have the controller. If you inspect, we have the Ion modal controller here, which you can use to log in. Now you open the modal, and if you inspect again, we have our page in here inside the modal. Auth page, we have the modal. And if you scroll up, you see we have the Ion modal controller up here. So this is the sidebar, the app menu, our sidebar. And inside our sidebar, we have our controller, and we're adding another component in front of it, which is a children, which is our modal over here. So now we just need to, after it got initialized, the modal controller, we can just call it and dismiss the modal. So return modal controller, dismiss. There we go. So now let's try it out. Just gonna log out, login with Google, the modal disappear, and I can successfully log in. So now this concludes our authentication module. We can display login and logout dynamically. We created a model. We can send a link with a magic link. We can log in with different providers. And we also can display some data from the user. And in the next module, we're gonna learn how to create our own user and add more information to it.